Hey couples, it's Brian and Tracy. Welcome to the channel. Today's topic is great for your next date night because every couple can relate to this. We're going to talk about why you get so defensive in marriage. And Tracy, I really love the image for this particular topic.
It seems pretty fitting because this is what we can do when we're defensive. We're like on the attack.
Yeah, so let's start with a definition from author John Gottman. He says defensiveness is self-protection in the form of righteous indignation or innocent victimhood in an attempt to ward off a perceived attack. Now, Tracy, there's some big words there, so why don't we start off with an example from our own marriage taken from a recent vacation that we took with our own kids.
It's fresh. It's a fresh example. It just happened with literally a week ago. We had gotten in the car to go somewhere, and I just felt like you were on edge. And so I tried to say it kindly. I wasn't meaning to be blamey or anything. And I just said, hey, kind of made a joke. We don't really do vacation very well when we're out of our routine. I said, are you okay? You seem on edge.
Yeah, and my response was, just to be honest, is on the inside, I felt like, no, you're the one who's on edge, right? So I got defensive. It felt like an attack to me. I felt like I was the victim here. You were the one that had the issue, not me. And this is the kind of thing I think that can happen in a lot of marriages. It's normal. So even as we talk about it today, don't be so defensive. I hope that you're open to learning about this in your marriage. So we've got 3 tips for you today. First of all, if your spouse comes with a complaint that feels like blame, then you can say, look, I can see that you're hurt. I want to understand why. Can we start again with a measured tone? Tracy, be honest. Can you see couples getting to this? This might be a bit of a reach for some husbands and wives out there.
Well, this is the thing about communication and the skills that it requires. It does take some self-control in the moment that we need it. So for the spouse that's getting defensive, it's on you to recognize that internal feeling of kind of uncomfortable and feeling like you need to go on the attack. Like somebody's coming at me, now I need to defend myself. So the goal would be as a couple then is if you feel defensive, that you could look at it and say, okay, my spouse is clearly upset. So like in our example, instead of you just immediately going on the defensive, maybe what you could have said is, no, I'm fine. I mean, tell me what you notice in me, or I didn't realize I was coming across that way. Or if your spouse comes and is kind of yelling or has kind of an aggressive tone, what you could say is, hey, I can tell you're upset. I want to hear what you're upset about, but I need your tone to come down, or let's kind of calm down for a second because I want to have a conversation. I can tell you're upset, but that tone is making me want to go on the defensive. So again, I mean, this is going to take some skill and some time, but if defensiveness is your reaction, you have a responsibility, if you want to be healthy, to say, why am I being defensive? Is it their tone? Okay, let me make sure I communicate. I care about what you're saying. I just need us to adjust the way we're coming at it so we can get to a productive conversation.
Tip number 2, if your spouse is pointing out a potential blind spot, then you can ask questions, look for examples to help you to understand their perspective, and be willing to own it, be willing to make adjustments.
This is a challenging one. And this has happened even in our relationship many times where you've come to me and you've said, you get super cranky or you're being critical of one of our kids. And so I may not realize that. So if you're coming to me with that insight and pointing out like something that you observe in me that maybe I don't see in myself, again, my natural reaction might be to go on the defensive. But if I'm trying to be healthy, and I want to grow as an individual and I want our marriage to be healthy, then rather than just focusing on, I don't agree with your assessment, to be able to say, okay, I'm not sure I understand, or I'm not sure I agree. Can you help me understand more what you've observed, what you mean? And be open and willing and teachable to say, yeah, maybe that's an area that I just need to grow in. Because again, we have to remember that if we need to bring an issue to our spouse, do we want them to be defensive and to just refuse to listen because they don't agree? No, we want them to hear it because we're coming to them because we want them to be healthier as a person. So my challenge would just be, this can be a reality. This is what a healthy marriage can look like, but it does take effort and work. And really, to our last point, the key bedrock of that is really about trusting one another, that when you come to each other, that you're doing it from a heart of, I love you and I want you to be a better person and I want our marriage to be healthy, not vindictive or in criticism.
So let's take a look at that last tip right now. If you feel like you don't trust your spouse's intentions, then you can be honest about the need to build trust in your relationship. And maybe it's time to invite a mentoring couple into your marriage to help you navigate issues like this.
And I would say that if you're a couple and you've heard this topic and like you said, Brian, or like, I can't even imagine a scenario where we could do that together, then I would say that that's probably evidence of it's never been present in your relationship, or maybe you learned over time that you tried to maybe bring a blind spot or a frustration and your spouse just got defensive and wouldn't hear it and wouldn't listen. That I would really say that having a mentoring couple or going to a professional counselor to help you navigate this, the idea of how do we build trust with one another? How do we come to a place where we can be vulnerable enough, authentic in our relationship where we can express things and know that the heart of the person bringing that to us, our spouse, is not saying that because they're trying to put us down, are not trying to make us feel bad about ourselves, but that it's really about, I want you to be the best version of yourself, right? And for the sake of our marriage, that really requires trust. And it might mean an outside professional or just another couple to help you guys navigate that to get to what's gone awry in our relationship that we haven't really trusted one another's intentions. Let's work on that. Let's start building that trust so we can have these types of conversations. So couples, I just want to end with this last note because I know a topic like this can be really hard and our default is just so easy to be defensive when we feel like we're under attack. But I just want to remind us all that if we're working towards a healthy marriage, let's just remember that the best cure to defensiveness is really just the ability to take responsibility for your part. That you don't have that reactionary thing of, I don't like the way that sounded, I don't agree with your assessment, so I'm going to turn it back on you. To just grow in the ability, if you want to be healthy in your marriage and in any relationship, that you just pay attention to first taking responsibility for your own actions and words and be less quick to be just defensive and put it back on somebody else.